Just got to the barn. Hi, Peachy. Hey, mister. Alright, we're at the barn. I'm gonna do their water. Then while that's going, they can eat their grain. I want them to both graze out here today, but we'll see how that works out. Take my glasses off. Haven't filmed chores in a while. I'm gonna get her dish out. Oh yeah, and this is her volleyball. Destroyed. I should let you guys see her go after it. She doesn't know which one she wants. You're a crazy girl. Been cleaning my house out all morning. It's about 2 o'clock right now. It's decluttering, cleaning. Lots of work. It's so nice out here though. Alright, I'm gonna start on chores. Alright, got the water going. I'm gonna get their grain. Sweet peas over there. Alright, so big pile of hay. It's almost gone. I think there's about 10 more bales right there. I was thinking while Knight is eating his grain, I'll work on his front feet. I did that probably 4 or 5 days ago, but I did it kind of fast, so I want to see if I can work on them again. I think it's been really dry, so I think they're going to be really tough, really hard, but if I can just do a little bit at a time, I'll do that. That'll be good for him. I'll let Peach out to eat her grain, and then she can graze a little bit, and then I'll probably just like hand graze Knight, because I used to have a really long lunge line, like a braided rope that was really nice, but I don't know where I put that one. It might be in the other room. I'll have to see if I can find that, because then I could use that to tie him up to the tree and he could graze around the tree, but for now I'll just hand graze him so he doesn't run off across the road or something like he likes to do. Okay, I'm gonna get their grain ready. Alright. I started sweating. I just worked on Knight's front feet. I started working on him and like he got 3 or 4 bites of his grain, and then he put his foot down really hard, pulled it out of my hand, and hi babies. I don't know if you guys can see her. And tipped his bowl, so he was eating his grain off the ground. Trying to find it, pick out all the little pieces. But it worked out. I got his front feet trimmed up nice and good. I still need to bring the heels down a little bit, take care of some sole, but I'm just going to do little bits at a time, because this is a trim in between the farrier coming, so, but the farrier doesn't come for another month, and I like to trim Peach's hooves every 3 weeks or so, so I need to stay on a schedule for Mr. Knight so they can, you know, his hooves can stay nice and balanced and nice and healthy. So I got to keep working on that. Good girl. You stay. The mailman. You stay. Good girl. Mailman is down the driveway right now. Sweet Pea was eyeballing him. She stayed in the yard though. Alright. Man, some of this hay, this new hay that I got, seems a little dusty. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that when I'm feeding them. That's why I don't like to just throw a bale out on the ground out there. I like to go through it, shake it out, make sure There's nothing bad in it. So I found pieces of wire. I found dead animals. All that kind of stuff. So you actually go through your hay, you can prevent your horse from eating that. Or prevent your horse from maybe eating it. I don't think they would, but could get in their mouth in the hay. There's that. Ooh, I'm sweating now. It's not even that hot out, really. But alright. There's that. So I will probably check the water one more time just because I don't want it overflowing. I'll check the water one more time and then I'm going to take Knight out so he can graze a little bit. Whew, alright. Yeah, I'm sweating. It's hot. Let's go see what Peachy's up to. There's Peachy. I think she wants to go back into the pasture so she can just eat some hay. But I'm not going to put her in. I'm not going to put you in right now. Silly girl. Check their water. Still got a little ways, so I'll let him graze for a bit. Hi, buddy. You're a good looking man, huh? Good looking horsey. Alright, buds. I'm gonna put a halter on you in a minute so you can graze. Yeah, Peachy wants let in, but she can graze. Alright. Alright. Mr. Knight's being a good boy. He found some good grass. I put the hoses away, put their hay bags out there, and I just gotta put them away and clean the pasture. I'll let them eat for a little bit longer. Their pasture is a little dry. Oh, I was gonna grab that. I was gonna throw that. Yeah. Your poor volleyball. Oh, you're so fast. That's yours, huh? What are you doing to that plant? He's eating and she's eating. We're mowing the grass at the same time. So I've been wanting to do a video on what I learned in the first year of owning 2 horses and managing the pastures and land by myself. And I was planning on sitting down and actually doing this a little bit more professionally and having notes and stuff, but since they're just grazing and I'll be out here for a while, I figured I'd just talk about it now. So, first thing is the hay, obviously. I got him, I think midsummer, I believe, so I had to clean the barn out, get it all prepped to get some hay in there. So finding a person that has quality hay, has good hay, so that was the first thing, and hay is very expensive. I bought mine for $6 a bale, and I bought about 200 and I think I bought 276 the first year, so that is a lot of money. But I think I got 30 of them for $5 a bale because they were a little bit mature, so they were a bit more pokey, and the horses didn't really like it, but it was good forage for them, I think. especially like during the summer or whatever, where they don't really need those extra calories for staying warm. So get the horses in here too. So that was the first thing, and I think I went on Facebook and I just looked at Marketplace and I found someone locally that was selling hay, and he delivered for free. Sometimes he helped unload the wagon, sometimes he just unhitched it and left the wagon here, and I was able to put it up on my own time or whatever. I always did it within the day, but so that was good. Second thing, pasture management, so like rotation. I thought this first pasture was going to be good enough for 2 of them for the whole year, and I could like slowly work on another pasture the next year. I ended up building that second pasture within a couple months, like before summer was even over. So they ate it down. It's very sandy out there. There's a lot of weeds. So I definitely needed that second pasture. So I think I did like one week on the big one, 2 weeks on the, or 1 week on the small one, 2 weeks on the big one. And that worked for a while, but then they even ate down the big one. So this year I ended up adding another pasture. It's way too small. So either this fall or next year I'm going to be building a bigger one. So I have 3 right now. One that's dry and pretty small, one that's really small and that they eat down really fast. It has like good trees and stuff, so it has good grass, but they eat it down so fast it just turns into sand. It just turns into dirt. So I'm always feeding hay in there. Also, I'm always supplementing with hay, which is another thing. Always get extra hay so you can supplement in the summer when they're eating down too much. Let me kick this. Try not to spook the horses. So I always get extra hay. I had about 20 extra this year at the end of, you know, like the winter when the grass was growing and I was actually rotating them, but I still ended up feeding because they would eat it down so fast. It's just not great pasture. I'm thinking about maybe seeding it, fertilizing it, but I need to figure out the weeds there so I don't kill a certain weed and then a different kind of weed takes over even worse. So I need to get it tested. I need to figure that out. But I think the plan for next year is going to be building a bigger pasture so that they can rotate between or amongst 3, maybe 4 different pastures. And I think that will help a lot. I won't have to buy as much hay. I probably still will because I'll be worried, but that is something I want to do. I'll probably build it off the first pasture so that, because that first pasture is also a dry lot that's connected to the barn, so in the winter they're not walking on and damaging the pasture, the grass, and whatnot all winter long. So I'll probably connect it to the first pasture, to the dry lot. Oh, he just stepped on his rope. And, where is he? Oh, no he didn't. Okay. Yeah, I'll connect to that first one so that I can block off the dry lot, or block off the pasture portion of the dry lot, and then they can have another pasture and still use the barn as shelter. Another thing I learned, horses don't need a shelter, especially like if they have trees and stuff. So originally I built a shelter. I saw this idea online. It was made of 3 cattle panels, 3 panels, like corral panels, I guess, corral gates or something, and then like tarps. And it was sturdy for a little bit, but after it broke down and collapsed the second time and it like really got damaged, I decided not to put it up again. And I decided to clean out the barn and make the stall in the barn, which was a lot of work, but way better for them, way safer. So, but in the big pasture, they have so many trees back there. They have great cover, like from the bugs. I mean, there's still bugs, but from the rain and stuff. So they don't need a shelter if there's good trees out there and there's some good cover. What else? Having a schedule for trimming hooves. So I didn't have Night on a good schedule for a while. Careful, Sweet Pea. Sweet Pea. She's right behind Peachy. Sweet Pea. You gotta be careful by the horses. Okay? You gotta be careful. What's it? Oh, hooves. So having 8 hooves to trim is a lot harder than just 4. And like I said earlier, I like to trim Peach every 3 weeks. So I need to get into the habit of trimming Night also a lot more often. Another thing I learned, when you get a new horse and you don't know everything about them, keep the electric fence plugged in, because you don't know if they're escape artists or if they like to plow through a fence if they know it's off. I learned that the hard way. And I got people calling me and sending me pictures saying my horses were out, and this guy was leading the way. He pushed through the fence. That was in the winter, so on a single-digit day also. What else? Grain is not as intimidating or hard as I thought it was going to be. When I first got him, she was telling me like how much he eats and stuff and measurements and all that. I was really worried about it. It's not that big of a deal. I do a big scoop. I do a big scoop and a little extra in the winter. It wasn't that difficult. But I will say he was on a very high sugar grain, which was not good for him. So figuring out something with a lower, I think it's called an NSC. I can't remember what that means, but figuring out a grain for that took a little bit of time, but not that hard. I just got it from the same brand. A lot less molasses and sugar in it, which will be better for his health anyways. So that was something I ran into. I also learned that horses can choke on grain, especially if it's like the Timothy pellets. They can easily choke on that because they're so dry. So you have to soak those, or I would suggest you soaking those because he choked on it. I have a video on it. Luckily, he stayed calm. He didn't need to get sedated or flushed out or anything or whatever they do. He rolled, he coughed, he had mucus coming out of his mouth and his nose, but he was able to dislodge it and he was fine in a couple hours. Still very stressful though. And I knew, it's in the video, he finished his grain and usually he likes to graze afterwards. This was last summer. And he just stood there and he was just standing there staring with his ears kind of off to the side. And I was like, that's a little strange. And then I put him back out in the pasture and he didn't graze or go to the water or anything. He stood there and stared. And I was like, yeah, this is bad. So I did call my vet right away too, just in case, but luckily didn't need her to come out. What else? I don't know. I was gonna say teeth being floated, both of them had that done. I probably won't do that again for a few years. They should be good. Bot flies are coming out now, so you gotta get those scrapers and get those eggs off their legs. I have a video on worming your horse, or deworming, or whatever it's called. A new horse, even. In a way that you can do it so they're not fighting you and you're not fighting them. And there's Sweet Pea. Fresh water is key. That is very important. Cleaning out your water tanks, making sure the water is so clean that you can see the bottom. There's been a lot of barns I've been at, and then I kind of took over the job of cleaning the water tanks because they were so disgusting. And sometimes the horses end up pooping in them, especially if they're in the stall that they're in for the winter, which happened to these guys. When I was feeding them in the same stall where their water was and everything, they were standing in there, they were pooping, and it was gross. So I had to clean out that trough 2 times that week, I think, because they ended up pooping in it. Which leads me to my next point, the thing that I learned. Hoses freeze so bad in the winter. Even if you empty them out and roll them up nice, they will freeze, and it might make you a little angry when it's 2 degrees out and you're trying to clean and then refill your water tank. So a couple times. I had to put them in the floor of my car, have the heat blasting for an hour until they thawed. But I learned to bring them inside the house. Put them in the tub or whatever and let them thaw out before trying to do water. Also, horses don't drink as much, at least in my experience with my 2 horses. They don't drink as much in the summertime when they're eating grass, but when they eat hay, they drink it a lot. And I have a 110 gallon tank, I think, and they'd go through it, definitely all of it in a week, but I would refill it obviously like on Wednesday or Thursday when they were eating hay in the winter. They would go through it, so I'd be filling up water twice when they're eating hay because it's so much drier. What else? I don't know what else. What else did I learn? I guess when managing your own pastures and hay and chores and cleaning, you don't really have the time or desire to actually ride anymore. At least I don't. I work full time. I have my own house. I have my own house chores and I have dogs, and I don't really even have the desire to ride, really. I just like to make sure they're taken care of and they're healthy. What else? That reminded me of something else, but now I forgot. I learned that horses will kick up things in the pastures that you make that you never saw before, like pieces of metal or like old pieces of barbed wire or old things that could be dangerous. So, that's another thing. I clean my pastures every day. I either, like on the last day they'll be in that pasture, I'll go through and break up the poop so it can like go back into the ground or whatever. But on the first 5-6 days of that week when they're in that pasture, I clean the poop out. And it keeps their feet so nice and clean. And that helps a lot. And it keeps a lot of the flies out of the pasture too. So that helps them. What are they doing? Yeah, so cleaning your pasture is a big one. Takes a little extra time, but it's worth it. I'm not sure what else. I've been talking for a while, so if I think of more, I'll make another little clip on it. I think I'm going to bring them back into the pasture, though. I still have to go clean it, so we'll do that. The flies are getting me. Yeah. Let me know what you guys have learned in horse ownership. Alright, I'm going to go put them back. Okay, we are all done. Oh, I think I have a bug biting my leg. Sweet Pea and I are going to share an apple. I'll throw the rest of the horses and then go about our day. We'll see you guys next time.